Hey, everybody. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Rick Snider's Washington on YouTube, where you get the whole story. So please like, share, subscribe, comment, and even hit the thanks button, especially hit the dollar thanks button down the bottom at some point. First chat of the season. So I would normally be Monday nights, but Ron Rivera talked today. We're on starting camp tomorrow, so thought I'd just wait and do it tonight. So for all of you coming in, let's see, Steve's first. There you go, new season, Steve, and you're the first one up as usual. So thank you for coming. Um, so I'll stall for a couple minutes while everybody's coming in. Hopefully, some of you are. Bob's here, okay. And Corey, thanks for coming. There you go. We're starting to pop people in here. Horror Night podcast. Woo. Mike P. There's a guy. That's my cousin, actually. So yeah, I just wanted to do it, Brian. Thanks for coming. Yeah, it's a new day, isn't it? We're all going to be happy for 5 minutes with new owners. We'll talk about Josh Harris will be at practice tomorrow. Haven't heard about the other owners. There's 20 of them, so I'm sure some of them will. Hopefully, you guys saw what it was like. Friday last week was a lot of fun to watch and a great relief. I'm just glad Dan's gone. Just glad 24 years of this nonsense is over. Um, and I'm a little surprised. If you had asked me a year ago, last July, I had never thought he'd be done. I thought he would just die, just like pretty much George Preston Marshall sold upon his death, and Jack Kent Cook died and it sold. So we've never had a living ex-owner, and this one's decided to go in exile and live in London in the Med, and that's fine with me. Can you imagine if him still being out there? And you'd know there'd be stories. So, you know, hey, Redskins 36-56, thanks. So it's just a relief. And I can tell you, there's people that work there, you could just feel the collective exhale. And some of them didn't have to deal with Snyder much, but they're just, let me get around see my sign. They're just glad. Everybody's just glad this is over. You might have seen there you go. This, you might have seen the new stands that they put up for practice. If you're coming, practice is free. They want you to register for tickets so they have your email and they can send you marketing emails every day. That's the why. And you have to take the shuttle bus from the Dulles Town Center, which it's 5-10 minutes away. So I'm hoping they got enough buses, and I hope it's not a real cluster blank. But and the stands, look like the metal ones. I wonder what that'll be like on a 90-degree day. But I remember the stands in 2000. That was the year Dan Snyder first came. He charged $10, but you got these great stands. And if you've ever been to practice, you know that it's a lot of standing there, and you get tired. And it's hot and all. So the stands are a great, great thing, including when you guys are done with camp, this session. Those stands don't go away right away. At least last time it didn't. And I used to enjoy sitting there all by myself, maybe a couple other guys, instead of standing and watching practice for hours. Could do that. I remember when they brought him in 2000. The next day, two of the security guards told me the story about how a young couple decided to celebrate at the top of them after everybody else had gone. So I don't know if that's happening tomorrow. I guess I keep an eye out for it. But it's 9 to 11, more or less practice. I'll have my the first video of the day up around noon because Ron comes out and talks to us after, and he chases players, and it takes a little bit. So around noon, I'll have the first one up. And nothing's great going on tomorrow. They can't hit each other really yet for a few days under the collective bargaining agreement. The old days, they used to have 2-3 hour practices. I can remember in the 90s. So we'd be out there like 8 hours a day between stretching and everything. Now it's just the morning and then the afternoons are walkthrough kind of things, and media doesn't get to watch those. It's a lot easier, but you don't get to see quite as much. I like the old access days. Everything's very sanitized, and with COVID, they got it down to where now you have to, ask your question on a microphone and you get one. I mean, we used to just hit them coming off the field and rapid fire, and you got a lot more out of it. So it's a little harder, and we get more time with players than we do now too. Beater channel. Everybody talks about EV's effects on the pass game. What do you think the running game will do? Well, I like Brian Robinson a lot. I think Gibson's going to be more of a guy in space. But all we've talked about running backs in the past week, with Barkley, and I saw Barkley signed a deal. I'm not quite sure who won that one, but it's not quite the same thing. But I think their running game will be fine. It's the line, you know. Going down today's moves, just in case you missed any of them. They cut Andrew Norwell, and my surprise was I thought that was already done, but they pretty much announced they were going to. They just didn't until now. They also cut Tim Murat, so they opened up a couple spots. That opens up for kicker Michael Badgley, who's going to give Joey Sly a real run. Joey's not done badly, but he keeps missing extra points, which is weird. And but Badley has not been as good a kickoff guy, and so he's going to have to do better there to get this job. They also signed Kansas City receiver Brian Pringle, who in 3 years has done nothing particular, but he might compete for the back of the lineup. But their receiver core is pretty solid on there. I saw John Kine, my buddy, reported for ESPN that Jamin Davis will be ready to go. He was restricted in the offseason camps after a minor knee surgery, scope, whatever they want to call it, on there. Like I said, some of the owners at least will be there tomorrow. God, you spend $6 billion on something, you want to show up and see it. I don't know how often Josh Harris is going to be around. Last week he said, "Listen, I won't be a stranger," but he doesn't live here, and he's got all the teams. But I'm sure he'll be here at times, and it doesn't matter. Cook used to come every day to practice for a little bit. Dan used to in the very early days, but after a few years, recent years, you didn't see him nearly as much out at the park. Joel was taking your kids. We took your kids to the 2009 camp. Yeah. Bruce was bad, huh? Big surprise there. The old days of like Carlisle, the fans could wait outside of the dining hall down the street from the field, get autographs as players went in and out, that kind of thing. You're going to be able to get autographs. Public practices start Thursday. You guys won't be there tomorrow, but you get near the fence. To me, here's the strategy. Watching the stands. With about, 15 minutes left to practice, which is when they're doing the 11 on 11s. So figure about quarter of 11, somewhere around there. Wander down to it. Have a Sharpie in your hand. That's a critical thing. And pick one thing to sign, not 6. They don't like doing that. And they all know there are people out there, collectors, that sell it. Sonny Jurgensen told me one time he got so mad. He signed a jersey, and then he goes to eat lunch and comes out in the store, and a Carlisle had it in the window. And so somebody's making money off him. He didn't like that. Ooh, Richmond John's here. Richmond John did a 2-minute report today. And Richmond John, I thought it was funny, and I saw they beat up on you. And you actually got more views after I tweeted you than I got for my 2 minutes. So I thought it was funny. I've been waiting for somebody to mock me like this or whatever. And we're cool. But if you guys want to beat up on Richmond John, that's fine with me. But, not as easy as it looks, is it, John? So. All right, Robert Parrish. Other than the bleachers, are there any noticeable improvements at the facility? Not that I've seen yet. Dude, it just got there. And these stands were in the plans for a little while. You just didn't call up them on Saturday and go, "I'd like a 2,000 seat stadium here, please." So it's been going on for a little while. So yeah, Richard, John, and I are cool. I just thought it was funny. I've seen other people try and do this, but doing 2-minute reports is not as easy as you might think, and to do them every day is not as easy as you might think. Of course, I usually have 6 a.m. They're up on YouTube. I time them. I do not do them at 6 a.m. I'm asleep. That's about when I get up. And then I go on Twitter when I wake up. So on that. And so we have that. And then I usually file around 5 o'clock or 6, somewhere in there. It depends on the day. And I faked my way through the last 6 months without a lot going on. Now this is the easy part. There's stuff going on every 5 minutes around here. Maybe it'd be different with the new ones. All that. So let's see. Anything else? Oh, all right. Now that we got a few of you on. Hey, I did want to bring this up because a lot of you have never seen this. All right, now it's called Command Post. It used to be called Warpath Magazine. It's a tabloid. It's coming near the end of its life, and we need more subscribers. It used to be thousands and thousands of people, but you can imagine with Danny Boy, it killed all fan interest, and nobody wanted to buy nothing. But I've been the editor of this thing for about 30 years. We have some of the others like Russell write for it, and some other columnists, and we got all this great stuff in here, and you can subscribe. See the whiteboard back there? That's where you can get it. It doesn't cost a lot. We could, I got to be honest with you. It's going to be tough to last much longer. There's Dan gone. It's all Commanders news. I write about 2/3 of it. Some other guys write the other part. It doesn't cost a whole lot. It'd be great if you go to where the whiteboard says and subscribe for them. I don't get that money directly. I just stay as editor. And this season, I tell people I am taking this season. Um, this is my 49th training camp somewhere. So I'll probably come back next year just to do 50. Maybe I keep going for years. Maybe I drop dead tomorrow. I don't know. I gave it up. So every year now I take a year at a time, which I have for several years. But this magazine, which I'm telling you, you're going to like this because you guys are the hardcore. If, we do this. This one's about, will Young come back this year and be better? Did he finally learn his lesson of this ain't a given, which I think he took for granted too early? It really messed him up. He's got to come back now and prove it. Now he's on a money year. So now or never, dude. Time to do it. Montez Sweat wants that money too. We'll see who gets it. They can't keep both of you, so they'll probably who's doing what? Do I see playoffs this year, Johnny Boy? Maybe. I think they're good enough to win 8 to 10 games. And you never know. One season, maybe this will be a good karma season with Dan gone. And maybe they steal a game here and there or something. How many times have they lost stupid games and you go, oh, well, maybe they'll win the stupid games this time. Maybe the ball will bounce their way. I try to be optimistic in July. There's plenty of time to hate losing later. So there's a chance. Joel said, Josh, talk about food changes at the stadium. Yeah, we haven't heard yet. I mean, the first preseason game's about 3-4 weeks away. So we'll hear something around it then. I don't eat down there with you guys, so I don't really know or care. but Johnny Rockets, I bet that's gone because who owned that too. And God, they charge you guys so much for this crappy food. I feel bad for you. So Bob asks, is Command Post sold in stores? Not anymore. It's just direct subscription, and you can read it online too if you want. They throw that in for free. Have you heard the Titanic before it's a ship that Post used to be unsinkable, but it sank in 1920, says Wayne Cooper. I heard something like that, yeah. And I actually was in Nova Scotia once and saw the graves of a bunch of Titanic dead, where they buried them. That was kind of cool. They had tours of it. So I was on a ship up there. So what could happen to them this year? They could win. I don't see this national thing where everybody's going, the over-under is 5. I don't see 5 wins. I just don't think it's that bad. The only way it's 5 wins is if this offensive line just sucks, And I'd like to think they got a little better at right tackle. I think Cosme would be a better guard. I think Cosme could be okay at guard. Can Sadiq Charles play at left guard? It's a good question. But Chris Paul, everybody seems to love him too. This coaching staff loves Sadiq Charles. Just barely see the guy on the field. I don't know. I got to see you on the field first. I like Gates at center. I think he's a smart player from what I've seen. So if the line can protect Howe, I think this team can win 10 games. And then when Jerry Jones wants to come up and what did he say it was? Give him some capital punishment out. Well, Cowboys haven't won that many games up here in recent years. But of course, there's a Thanksgiving Day game. Good for you, sucks for me. And then the last game of the season, they haven't said what day and time that is in case it's a playoff and they want to flex it to something kind of weird that they won't even give you a day. Let's see. Joe said, shocked that they have not given more thought to tight end. Well, I think part of that is I think Logan Paulson's looked excellent in the offseason camps. And I can say that because where I stand on the sideline seems to be where they throw routes to him and he damn near runs over me. But I think he's looked really good. I think he's finally healthy all the way again. And I expect a good year from him. Cole Turner last year I really liked a lot. And he got hurt, so he never got to do anything, had a couple catches. And I think he can be something special. Bates can block. So I don't really think they need a lot. Armani Rogers did go to the injured list today, though. That is the other one. That's not unexpected. I don't know if he'll be ready for the season or not. Haven't heard. The only doctor report I got was from my doctor today. Hit me on my back. Want to see something gross? Whatever. Let's see. Here it is. See, well, here's one thing. All right. See this Budweiser Zero? What moron is paying beer prices for water? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Oh, yeah. So here's my doctor, and they said, okay, this is where your back is bothering you. Last year, I went numb on my right side. I was in a hospital. I thought I had a stroke. Turns out it was that disc, and it's been tickling me lately. So I had to go to see the doctor to get a PT slip. Sucks getting old. It really does. They had nothing good about getting old. All right, except I don't have to work as much anymore. So Richmond John agrees with me. I knew he's smart. Bates looked better late and blocks well. He does. Wayne Cooper, NATO helped Ukraine in the World War III. Ukraine is doing good so far. We don't know Ukraine will win in March. Okay, dude. I think you missed the wrong chat group about NATO and Ukraine. I mean, I wish Ukraine all the luck in the world here on that. But I've sent my money to feed people there too and all that. But that's not what we're here talking about. And I don't know where Michael is, who usually watches these things for me. But okay. So let's see. What else we're going to talk about? So if you do come to practice, a couple tips, as I've said before, do not wear black to practice so that you know, it's weird. People my age grew up without air conditioning. We understand. I work outside. We understand how to dress outside in 95-degree weather, which is wear light colors, you know, that repel the sun instead of soaking it in. I know for a lot of you, you think, of course, but there's a lot of fools out there too. You know, black looks pretty, you know. Dude, don't do that. Don't do that. You know. So that's one of my first rules about camp. Let's see. Alexander thinks the team's going to win 6 games. Okay, well, you might be right, but I don't think so. If the quarterback is playing that badly, they're going to go to Brissett. If they start off badly, they're going to Brissett. But I think you have to give Sam his chance. And Ron today talked about a lot of stuff, and he more or less admitted, hey, listen, I got to do something this year or else I got new bosses here. He knows that. He's not a blind to it, but then you just have to go to work every day and hope for the best. Let's see. Bob says, who's the third string quarterback? I think it's Fromm. I mean, they got another guy in there, but I didn't see him do anything at camps in the off season. So Fromm, I guess. But you never know. They might change somebody. You wait until the end of August or September now with cuts and see if anybody let a quarterback loose that you want to do. And see what your guy did. Okay. I don't know what Wayne. I don't know. Okay. We get different stuff in here at times. Johnny, well, I'll be at training camp on August 2nd. Any tips on getting autographs? Okay, so go down to the fence about 15 minutes ahead. Wait your turn. Have a Sharpie in your hand and 1 or 2 things max to sign because they don't want to sign 10 things. You're holding up the line. You know, pick your spot. And usually they're pretty good. You know, say thank you, say please. If you have young kids, Daryl Green used to hate when kids would call him by his first name because he said, you know, they were yelling, Daryl, Daryl, and they're 6 years old or 8 years old. He goes, I'm their elder. I'm due some respect. Say Mr. Green. So teach your kids to do that. It's funny, I talked about this in tomorrow's video where Ron Rivera calls Josh Harris Mr. Harris. Now, I'm 63, Ron's 61, Josh is 58. And the rule is, I don't know if this rule works anymore, but the rule was you call people older than you Mr. and people younger than you by their first name. The only people I really make call me Mr. Well, when my daughters were dating boys before they got married, I used to make them call me Mr. Snider because I wanted them to fear me in case they were bad to my daughters. I'd have to kill them. But and people I do car, you know, I'm buying a car, when I'm doing a financial deal, it's Mr. Snider. But other than that, I don't. But that's kind of the rule. And so, but Ron's, you know, showing respect for a new boss. He may go to Josh soon. Josh may finally tell him, go ahead and call me that. But Ron's also a military background kind of guy too, and they do that. So it's an interesting thing. I talk about it tomorrow, just because Dan Snider even wanted fellow owners in the league, much older than him, to call him Mr. Snider, and they just laughed at him. But that's what a jerk he was. Well, they carry two or three on the weekly active roster. They have a new rule, Bob, about quarterbacks. You can go the third guy can be on the active because there were so many injuries, like in the playoffs last year. Um, IRJ, Heineke and Wentz were quarterbacks last season. We won 8 games. I think we're going to go win 9 or 10. Sam will be above average. Very good, RJ. You've been listening to me. I like how he's got the arm. There isn't a throw he can't make. I'm not saying he's the best quarterback in the league, but I think Sam Howell can be anywhere from 12 to 18, given the right situation. And that's good enough, quite frankly. Scott doesn't buy the Chase Young trade rumors. I really don't either. And for the reason you say, why would Rod trade for a future pick? And this could be his last year. Yeah, he needs Chase to ball out so they're both around. You're not going to trade him for a pick the next guy gets. Why would you do that? Let's see. Matrix Deacon, Mr. Boss. Okay. Sam, Uncle Sam for Hal's nickname. Why? Mojo. That's not a bad idea. Could have your, call him Uncle Sam. I wish he'd eat a burger or something. I mean, Sam Howell doesn't eat red meat. He eats chicken tenders. What are you, 12? Chicken tenders are awful most of the time because they're so breaded and deep fried. It's awful for you. Take it from a guy that's got a big scar from here to here for open heart surgery. Don't eat the fried junk. Eat grilled stuff. Had first crabs of the season last week. They were good, decent size. Got them for 45 a dozen large because I live near the water. So I get them from Waterman. And they were decent large. So they were not my old definition of large, but let's see. Oh, chicken tenders, Grant. Yeah, Grant eats like a 12-year-old at times too. He surprises me though once in a while with something he will eat, but he's picky. Okay, so yeah, it's one of the weird things of how I want to see his teammates take him to a steakhouse and make him eat real meat. It's not going to kill you. I don't eat as much red meat. I'll be honest with you. When I had a heart attack at Redskin Park 21 years ago, I used to be a big red meat eater, and just something changed. Maybe the wiring. I'd rather eat seafood. I eat red meat like once a week. I don't have a taste for it. Not like when I'm young, clear over you. Change your mind about things. Stoney's River Restaurant has some of the best chicken tenders. The unknown ism. Is that Stoney's in Calvert County or somewhere else? I make my own chicken tenders. They're just chicken with shake and bake or something on them, and grill them. Air fryers make great chicken dishes. Who's my surprise player this year that no one is talking about? Asked Johnny Boy. All right, let me look at the roster real quick. I hadn't thought. It's somebody I hadn't thought about. The kick returner from UCLA, might be something. Let's see. I'm looking at the roster right here. On here, we don't have depth charts yet. We haven't talked about Casey Toohill much, but that's not a surprise. Fedarian Mathis, last year's second round pick who missed the season injured. I watched him in the offseason camps. He was a bowling ball. So Fedarian might be a surprise. But as a guy who's like a rookie free agent or something, let me just look here. The Alan Kazmaier, the returner, he might be the guy from UCLA. Might surprise you. I did see a lot of rookies this year in the offseason camps that really got me going on everything. Chris Rodriguez, draft pick, he looked really solid running the ball. He's a load. You're not just going to tackle, you're not going to arm tackle him. So there you go. Robert said, used to have a travel agency go to games from Tidewater. Yeah, there aren't. I don't think there are any anymore. Used to be some here for a long time. Is the wide receiver group elite? Mojo asked. It's good. I don't know if it's elite yet, but it's good. So Gary Clark at the new owners thing. I didn't recognize him, but it's funny sometimes. Like I saw Rock Cartwright. I didn't know who it was. I mean, I haven't seen the guys in 20 years, whatever. I haven't seen Gary in probably 15. So I think we'll see the players around a lot more. The old guys, that'd be great. Dexter was around, big as ever, blocks out the sun. Any talks about reducing ticket and food prices? Asked Kevin. Kevin, let me ask you this. You just paid $6 billion for a team. You think they're going to knock off some money from the food prices? I don't think so. This dude needs your money just to pay the rent. I just don't see it this year. Um, um, you know, and nobody's making you eat. I mean, if you don't eat for 3 hours during the game, you probably will still get a lot. That's why I tell people the beer prices, and you don't have to drink a beer for 3 hours. You can drink them before and after. It's up to you. It's your money. Spend it how you want. My prediction on first week attendance, asked Scott. Yeah, I was kind of asking about this yesterday. I think it'll be about 50 because there won't be any Arizona Cardinals fans there. I mean, they stink. They're a long ways away. I don't see them traveling, and that's what has been a heavy part of attendance. From what I gathered, it sounds like their season tickets before the season, what the Redskins Commanders were down to like 20,000 season ticket holders, 20,000, and not all of them came to games. And I think I could see them bumping 10 maybe this year more and more game day sales. Less, I think they'll actually have majority of some of the games, not any of the division games, not the Buffalo game, but you'll have more people. So I say opening day 50-ish, something like that. Um, let's see, Matrix. Serious question. If we go 13-4 this season, who gets credit, Snider or Harris? Harris. We're never giving Snider credit for this. Let's be honest. I don't care. And he didn't do anything on this roster this year. He didn't come off the boat and pick somebody. So you can't say that. Mojo, RFK or bust. I've changed my mind a little bit. It's funny because I was on with the Sports Junkies because I write for 106.7 The Fan. And they said, in the past you said this. I said, let's stop this game now. Whatever I said in the past doesn't work anymore because you have new owners. Blank slate, start over on predictions. Because whatever happened in the past is gone. It's not Dan Snider. It's not this thing and that. It's like a brand new guessing game. I think you really can. I think they can go back when Vincent Gray, who's very important on the city council, basically after the team sale, is waving his hands saying, "Come on back to DC. I have a campaign fund that needs replenishing." That kind of thing. Politicians always appreciate help. I think RFK, and I think it's the emotional place that could bring this franchise back to a healing point that it needs. And so I would do anything you've got to do to get into RFK site again. Steve, hit the thanks button. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. See, guys, so all you got to do, hit that little $ thing down there somewhere and throw some money because I'm giving you an hour of my time and I'm busy as can be. So I appreciate that people respect that and try and kick some money back. And Steve asked, who do I believe is the bigger weakness, O-line or the kicker? I'll say O-line because it's more snaps. But Joey's not awful. It's just, man, he misses these extra points. If we stink again, is Ron gone? Asked Hunter. Yeah. But with EB at OC, I don't know that EB gets that job. I can't say that at all. Not especially right now. Not right now. Mojo, we get a proper statue for Sean Taylor and Joe Gibbs. Maybe. I think statues are coming for the next place more. Justin Herbert just got the money back. Oh, yeah, I haven't heard his contract yet. Okay. Are all of our draft picks signed, Brett asked. Yes, Brent, they're all in. Richmond John, thank you, Richmond John. I appreciate it. After today, I thought it was funny. But Richmond John did a 2-minute account. You got to tease them, though, what you're talking about, Richmond. You got to just watch what I do and follow that. But thank you so much for throwing it in. Now that I have a new yard, I have 3.5 acres. I bought a new house. Those of you who haven't been around, it takes me 2.5 hours to cut grass, and it turns out it cost me about $12-15 in gas to cut my yard. That's hard to believe. But hey, man, did somebody raise gas prices like 30 cents yesterday? I go by the places here, and it's like $3.70. I'm like, wait a minute, it was just like $3.30 or something. I was in Dahlgren, Virginia, which always has the cheapest gas. Was there Sunday, $3.03. Now I see it's $3.70. What in the world just happened? Did they just cut off a pipeline? All right. Herbert got $262 million over 5 years. Wow, good for him. So now, what is Joe Burrow going to get? Anybody watch Quarterbacks? I've seen the first 2 episodes. With Kirk around and all that. Been interesting. Kirk held out for big money. He said, I have to do this because I owe it to other quarterbacks to raise everybody up. And he was right about that. Okay, unknown. Oh, it has a trade clause in there too. Well, still, got a lot of guaranteed money. Brent, are the Commanders still trying to get Kareem Hunt? Not that I know of. Johnny Boy, Sam works out and we make the playoffs. Does that save Ron's job? Yeah, I would say probably, yeah. Although Doc Rivers, got nailed by this owner, and he went to playoffs a lot. And there are two kinds of coaches. John Kime's going to roll over in his bed tonight if he hears me talk about this one more time. John did. But I ask every coach this kind of thing. What's harder, taking a bad team to good or a good team to great? Consistently, coaches say taking a good team to great is a much harder job. And that's where Ron's challenge is now. He took from a bad to a decent. They've been decent. They were 8-8-1 last year. I saw somebody was talking about, yeah, they stunk last year. They didn't win games. They were 8-8-1. That's not a bad year. And I think they can be a little better. So I think probably if he made the playoffs, they would. Same thing happened with Norv first year with Dan Snider. Dan wanted to fire him, but they made the playoffs, so he had to keep him another almost a year before he let him go. Let's see, Mojo. What if we win big? Does Ron step down and EB stay? I don't see Ron stepping down. Okay, we'll just start with that. Don't see it, and so EB would probably go somewhere else. If the offense is great, we'll see what happens. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen in January, and we're just starting training camp tomorrow. So I don't know. Any contract extensions coming with new owners in place? Humble LA. Ron was asked about that today. Basically, gave a nondescript answer on it, but it didn't sound like anything coming out the next day or two. They might do something. It's more of a we'll see kind of attitude. So I think more in the fall. I mean, I don't know how much money does Josh Harris have left. He spent $6 billion with his boys, and then he bought everybody a beer at a couple places. How much money has he got left? So contract extensions, they could wait till the end of the year. Matib, would you have considered Jack Kent Cook a good owner? Absolutely, because he gave them his support for what they wanted to do. He never interfered with any kind of personnel decisions, good or bad. Never had an opinion on that. Yeah, you give people a hard time sometimes, but everybody, boss, gives you a hard time sometimes. So I wouldn't worry about that. Let's see. Okay, Bob's got to go. You got to get to work. But thank you, Bob. I appreciate you coming by on this. Yeah, we got about 40 people. And like I said, for those of you who weren't here earlier, I'll typically will do this on Mondays, but unless something in the schedule forces a change on that. But I'll try to do it on Mondays, 8 to 9. And so first, I think last year we did like 25 in a row, and I took bye week off. Bye week again is down the road. So I'll try to do it. I mean, I'm only talking here. It's not like I'm busting rocks on this, but some days you get tired. All right. And so for those of you, because what the analytics tell me, I'm not an analytics guy on the ball field, but it's funny. Ron said, it's funny. I said, Ron, are you going to do more analytics with Josh Harris here? He goes, we've always been doing analytics. We just don't talk about it as much, but we've been doing this for years. All right. But analytics tells me most of you listen for 15 minutes and you go away, which means 33 minutes in, it's a new group. More people watch the show on replay actually than watch live. So, probably like 300 people watch live, and then several hundred more will watch later. So if you're watching later on, you can watch. If you missed earlier, you can watch it on replay, which posts as soon as this show's over. It takes a minute, then it goes over. But if you want to do command post, which is I'm an editor of this publication, the tabloid comes out a bunch of times a year. It's all about who. The command. It used to be called Warpath and all. But, it's got stories on everything, pictures. It's your stuff. It doesn't cost a lot. This publication, to be honest, is in serious, the bell. It's in serious peril, like all team papers in this country are. All papers in this country are. So we could use some support. It's right there on the whiteboard where you can go and get it. You can read it online, or you can get it mailed to you, or you can have or both. James Beach from Hickory. All right, I got family in Hickory. The Molinaxes are part of my kin there. So my dad was from Gastonia, and so I have people all spread out. But I have family in Hickory. I used to think Winston-Salem was the end of the earth. when I had to go there for ACC games to Wake Forest. Hickory's another 45 minutes past that. Whew. Man, that's a long ways. I'll tell you that much. Commanders just sent me a comment. Let's see what they want. Oh, they sent some photos today. Okay, nice of them. I have the app just like you. Carnus, what's up? Not sure if you talked about it yet. What's my name with Joyce? Wow, we have not talked about it yet, and it's 8:35. Woo! Man, we got a half hour into the show before we had to deal with that. Dallas gave Diggs 97 million, Brandon. Wow, I didn't see that one. And just looking up real quick. Winning Time on HBO, I did not see. If it's on there. So anyway, the name. I don't care. I was so tired of talking about the name after all these years. If they could go back to Redskins, I would be okay with that. I say pull an Al Davis. Go back to it and say, I'll see you in court. And if you don't like it, don't follow the team. I don't think they lost a lot of people over this. It was other people who thought about it. Muteeb, thank you so much for kicking in. There you go. Another guy gets it. Hit that thanks button. If you have a chance, it's $2 bucks. I was going to do OnlyFans. I heard about this thing, OnlyFans. And they talk to people and people tip them and all. And I thought, okay. And you might have seen the video. They said, you have to do the show without your shirt on. I thought, well, that's kind of weird, but you're not really seeing much anyway. So I took my shirt off. And then I found out, it's about naked people. So I didn't know that. Well, I figured OnlyFans, you're an OnlyFan of a team. I don't know. But to answer Mateeb's question, what do I think would be the timeline for a new team headquarters? What I'm gathering, 3 years, more or less. They want to sell the land. The land, I hear, could be worth $300 million. And they have these huge internet buildings, monoliths. They're pyramids out there. And that's who would buy it. They could use that. They're going to stay around Ashburn, is what I gather, is they're going to stay there. First impressions of the headquarters in Ashburn, back in 93. So it's now been 30 years. The first Redskin Park was 20 years. Not far away. It's now a church. They still have the goalpost and fields up, and kids play youth ball there. But I thought it was nice. I am not a guy who's worried about building palaces and telling, ball players, oh, look at this beautiful building. So you're going to the Super Bowl. No. What happens on the field? Make sure your fields are good. Make sure you have enough weights that everybody can lift weights when they want. Invest in your training staff, that kind of stuff. That's what wins games. James B., thank you so much for coming by. Okay, and let's see. Does Vegas have an over-under at 6.5? I haven't seen it lately, but it's around there, Charles. Take the over. I would take the over. I don't know why Michael is talking about uncle and things, but okay. Might be something bad. I don't know about it. Shirtless weird kids at 25 million. Yeah. For dancing, maybe. Sam Howell's QB1, absolutely. Justin. With the signing of Pringle, do you think Dax Milne is gone? Definitely puts him in jeopardy, Brandon. I would, he hasn't really done a whole lot here. James B., the 99-year lease offer is typical for a situation like that, which is what there's a congressman trying to get a 99-year lease extension to D.C. to control the RFK site, and then, of course, they could put a stadium there. And so, because the stadium's going to end the lease, I think, in 2038 under the original, and that was like about 75 years. So that would allow them to go to RFK. Oxen Cove site, Metro said that they want to put a blue line loop down to that area. Could happen. Let's see. Let me look at something real quick here. All right, and I put Mike on timeout, being a moron. Justin, what do you think about Trevor Lawrence? Is he a top 10 yet? Not yet, but he definitely made a big step up his second year, because his first year he had a bonehead for a coach that didn't know what to do. That was Urban Meyer. That was like Spurrier. I mean, that was just a bad fit. So he made a big move his second year. I would expect him to play better this year. Do I believe Sam makes it through the season, Mojo? I don't want to wish anything bad on him. So it's hard. How many quarterbacks we've seen in the last 3 years? 12. So it's hard for every team almost. And not many guys play 17 games. All right, Washington Commanders. Guess who's back again? Tell a friend what's up. All right, well, welcome back. I think this year is going to be a good fan year. Everybody's excited to be done with Dan and to be moving on. You know, I am too, just to be done with the evil empire around us. It's hard going to work in a place where the boss is just an evil guy and just, it's no fun for anybody, whether you work for him or not. It's just the stress levels around there were tough. And I remember, of course, they were winning Super Bowls. So everybody was happy back then, but it was a lot more fun. And I mean, Jack Kent Cook didn't tolerate slackers. He would give people a hard time. He wanted them to do better, but it wasn't like I'm going to throw you out the door. So it was easier then. And winning Super Bowls helps. Well, the shiny ones, they think we're going to be straight garbage. They think Sam's going to be terrible, and Ron isn't a good head coach. First thing they say is, I have a lot of respect for him, but he isn't good for real. I have a lot of respect for Ron Rivera as a person. Listen, that cancer thing he went through, that would have broken a lot of people. I mean, there's Ron, and I think Ron's the right head coach for this new ownership group for this year because a lot of coaches wouldn't have the patience to deal with new owners and just all the talking you got to do and educating them and teaching them things on that. And I think he'll do a good job at that. And if they decide to replace him, well, he's given them his best shot to help them transition into the NFL. That's the worst thing owners like Dan did. I think they know everything. It's sports. How hard can it be? I played, and that's a real mistake. You have to appreciate coaches and personnel men and all these people for basically having a PhD for getting this high up in this industry. No fool just walks in here and becomes these things. You have to respect that. It's like if you buy Dow Chemical, you don't say, "Hey, let's mix up a batch of something. I took chemistry in high school. What can happen?" You blow it all up. Well, that's what happens in football too. So the smart owners learn from the pros on this. Washington Commanders thinks Trevor is better than Dak. Not yet, but could be in the end. Justin, Messi is playing again tonight. Oh, and he's already scored 3 goals now in 2 games. Wow, Messi's awesome. I'm not a big soccer guy, but you got to respect guys that are that good. I was in Europe and I was in London on the tube, and they had games in town, and I saw all these fans from all these places, and they're on the tube and they're all cheering, and got a real feel for what it was like. It's so different there because the countries, the rivalries are still there, and it's not the same thing as in the U.S. because we're all still the same country, but there are different countries. So, and they have the wars and all that baggage. So, it's a different thing over there, but it's cool. Um, Okay, I don't quite understand Mojo. Cole Turner make a big leap in year two, asked Mojo. Well, I mean, he had 2 catches last year. So if he does 10, that's 5 times better. How many guys do 5 times better? But I do think he has the potential to be a really nice player. I like a lot of what I watched him in the off-season camps. Um, I'd like to see his hands be a little better, but I think he's could be a good one for them. All right, Steve, do you believe the NFL will continue to hold Dan Snyder against the team? Or start treating them like everybody else. I think the NFL will move on all this. Loved how the Mary Jo White report comes out after the sale approval, and I'm sure they did that deal with Dan, saying, "All right, you'll pay a fine and move on, but you won't have to fight about it because you've already gone." I know Goodell's credibility just got blown to smithereens the last few years dealing with Dan Snyder. Just ridiculous, the stuff that went on. Commander Dan, Dallas versus Washington for the division. Book it Sunday night. Well, there's still that Philly thing going on there. Maybe. I don't know. Philly's going to be good too. All right. Anaki, the shiny ones. Mojo Daddy, I'm cautiously optimistic about the line. Oh, you're talking to each other now. That's nice. And you think Chris Paul is going to start? I would give that a chance. I think there's a few position battles that are still kind of out there. So coaches talk about Sadiq Charles well all the time. They talk about Paul all the time well. So it's possible either one. I think Cosme will be okay at the other guard. The line's got to be a decent line. That'd be a great line, but it's got to be a decent line, or else everything else. Because the defense is going to be good. There's no doubt they've got one of the best D lines. They're playing more of the 5-2-4 or 4-2-5, so the linebackers aren't quite as important. And the backfield, I watched Emmanuel Forbes in the offseason camps. Man, does he have skinny legs? My God, that scares me a little. But he has great instincts for football on the field. I saw a lot of impressive things. I think he'll be fine. As long as he stays healthy, he'll be fine. Jared Patterson makes the team on that. I would say right now, no, but injuries and things happen, so you never know. He's got a chance. They like him. They kept him on practice squad last year. James, I'm very excited about the future for the organization. Absolutely. I mean, better days are coming. Can't get worse than what we've been through. So better days are coming. Thank goodness. We can all smile about something. We can, everybody can argue about, the politics, which I don't care to argue because no one changes their mind anymore in America. So I don't want to get into any of that. The Dow is at, unless it tanked today, I don't know if I have it. The Dow is at the 35,000 range. It hasn't been in a while. I think the economy's ready to, if we can just get past this last Fed move, I think the economy is going to do really well. I think we're poised for better times there too. Hopefully COVID doesn't come back, although it's still around. I had a family member get it last month, and I heard somebody else I know get it. So I'm not telling you to wear your mask, but I'm just telling you to be careful out there. I don't want it. So, but I like to think we're through the worst of that. I mean, that cost us 3 years of our life. And I don't want to hear about anybody's speculations. We're just going to leave that as it is. Richmond John, the O-line needs to stay healthy. Absolutely. They've had so many injuries. Who I like, Brandon, among the kickers? If Bagley can show his kickoffs are for real, because he's coming up short too much, I say he might get it. But otherwise, I think Joey Sly holds him off. How many running backs on a 53-man roster, asked Charles? 4, I guess. Patterson, Gibson, the rookie draft pick, who I just said his name a moment ago. If I say 4 on there. That running back, of course, you know who I'm talking about. The running back who was, can't remember. Oh, Chris Rodriguez. Yeah. I think he could be something. Chris Rodriguez, I watched him run down the sideline. It's just like, it's not going to be easy to single tackle this guy in open space if they can get him there. He's a train load. I mean, so is Brian Robinson, but Brian's not going to be outside as much. He's going to be running through the middle more. So I like B-Rob a lot. It reminds me a little bit of Larry Brown, just his style of running on there. Didn't see Larry's living in, I think it's Hilton Head, South Carolina now. So he wasn't up for the announcement. They had quite a few old players. Mosley was there. Gary Clark. Art wasn't there. He has health issues right now. Let's see. I don't know. I saw Charles was there. It was, I don't know, 20 guys maybe around. Nobody had their Letterman jacket on anymore. As crazy as that was. I haven't seen a Letterman jacket in a while. Although I was at King's Dominion Sunday, went with the grandkids. Had not been to King's Dominion in 15 years. And they had Charlie Brown shirts, and they had a Charlie Brown Letterman's jacket and all that. That was pretty cool. I bought the shirt. The tower, the Eiffel Tower, they have a big sign saying closed, hoping to open later this season. Dude, it's almost August. All right, at a theme park, you got like a month or so to go. Fire that thing up and fix it. Whatever's wrong, I don't know. Ooh, got a lightning storm coming by. All right. Is there anybody on the PUP list? Well, it's on the injured list is Armani Rogers. I think that's it right now. Does Jacoby finally get in, Mojo asked, on the Hall of Fame voting? I say no, not this year, but I think he will eventually. Let's see, we got about 10 minutes to go. If you want to hit the thanks button, for those of you new coming in, haven't heard me whine and complain yet. I do the show. I'll give you an hour. I'm tired. I'm usually at the end of a long cycle of working. So I'd like to think that everybody would at least throw $2 in and help me out. That's why we do the show. I do it to help you. Yeah, whatever. I do it for both ends of this. I do this because I enjoy talking to fans, but I enjoy spending your money too. So, I go tour guiding too. If you want to come to DC, a lot of people who watch me on YouTube come to DC and take tours. So if you want to go see whatever in DC, I can do it. We'll have fun on there. Okay, who wears the green dot on defense? It would be more beneficial to defense if Cam wore it. Might be Cam. I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't asked that question yet, but I think Cam could be it. And Cam's a nice player. He might be one of those extensions you do. James B. Well, thanks. I do have a nice house. Please make a house tour video. What? So you can look at what come and steal off my shelves? No, but there's my Buy Dan beer. I was wondering, should I take my Buy Dan beer down? I mean, that's the Jack Can Cook beer next to it. And I thought, well, Dan's gone. Do we put away the can now? Do I throw it in the recycling bin or do I keep it? I haven't decided. Let me know. We'll do a poll on it this week. Unknown. So yeah, Barkley got up to 11 million with incentives. I mean, it's a good deal. I know running backs are, often felt like 5-year players. So if you come off a 4-year contract, nobody wants to pay you a big money 5th year, thinking that might be about the end of your lifespan or a career span or however we call it. What's my take on the linebackers? Mojo asked. Well, Jamin Davis will be on the field. Supposedly no restrictions after an off-season scope, which limited him in the off-season of camps. So if he's really ready to go, I think he made a good move up in his 2nd year. So I think he's decent. But overall, they don't ask a whole lot of their linebackers in a way. I did like the other one they picked up. I'm getting tired, so I don't remember names. You guys know who it is. Who's the other linebacker they picked up? Not Mayo. Not Deron Harris. Not Farrad Gardner. Come on, it's a big name. Well, they got him in free agency. Somebody type it in. I'll tell you. I think he actually is decent. He's the next Cole Holcomb, and he's decent. Brandon expects Sweat to get a nice extension. I think so too, but there's just so much that's going on. Suppose you change coaches. Maybe the next coach doesn't want to, do that. So we'll see. Maybe the owners don't want to spend that kind of money. There's a lot to see. Doesn't mean you wouldn't get it somewhere else. Still need help at corner and safety. I would not say that, James. I think they're okay at corner and safety. Now, as long as they stay healthy. The shiny one says, hey, hit the like button. Yeah, matter of fact, I've only had 19 likes. Hit that thumbs up thing. You know why? Because the algorithm loves that. And it makes the algorithm think people like me or whatever. So don't hit the thumbs down. Hit the thumbs up. If nothing else, even if you don't hit the thanks button with the money, the free one is the thumbs up. At least give me a thumbs up, I feel like Rodney Dangerfield. Come on, a little bit. I got one thumbs up. Cody Barton, thank you, DZ. Cody Barton, I've watched him in the offseason camps, thought he did decent on this. We should do the show at 7 in the morning. I'd be sharper than at night. That's what happens when you get old. Another great part of getting old on there. All right, so what we have is we got a few minutes to go. Time to send your donation to Save Rick in retirement. So, don't know if it's my last year. I don't see anybody else doing this online. DZ thinks Cody Barton has a lot of upside. I do too. I mean, he showed well last year in his last team, so he's in his prime, kind of age-wise. So Cody Barton could be decent. It's funny because Rivera and Del Rio were both former linebackers. They don't seem to value the position as much, and the new NFL thing. Kind of weird. You figure they would hold on to linebackers more than they should. What's a successful season for Chase Young look like? Asked Mojo. Well, okay. Let's see. If I read command post, because you're going to be a new subscriber by going to the whiteboard there and signing up. I would say his over-under on sacks needs to be at least 8. I think he'll be at least 10. Listen, Chase is going to be chasing money this year, which means he's going to be going for it. So I expect a good year from Chase. If he doesn't have 8 sacks, I kind of wonder about things. And I couldn't tell you anything off the off season. He only came to mini camp, so saw him a couple days, and I thought his first step looked very good. I know that's a weird thing to talk about, but you couldn't hit each other. So just watching the explosiveness, watching him look at the quarterback, looking at you know details, I thought he did pretty decent on there. Let's see. Okay, so Richmond John knows more than I do. On the dragging the tab right below Rick if you're in the app, whatever. Okay, all right, read that. It explains stuff. Maybe Richmond John's going to replace me. Listen, there's a bunch of people out there that have nice podcasts. I go on ones now and then. So best of luck to you guys if you want to do it. Then you can be poor like me and realize this isn't the greatest paying job in the world. All right. The shiny ones. Barton is big. I want to see him cover a tight end. I agree with that. Um, okay. Richard John's got a brand new already home. So, all right. Good for you. I my wife and I moved to a nice place in the country, 3 acres plus, and new house, and we're transitioning to the retirement time. Although I'm going to still work. I've got a new book coming. New book I'm working on now is going to be called Presidential Pours, I believe, and it's about all the drinks that presidents and first ladies ever since George Washington. I'm going to talk about all that and how they used to drink in D.C. and some funny stories about the places that they were. So if you like drinking stories about presidents or not, some of them didn't drink, like our current one doesn't. Trump didn't. Trump's a Diet Coke man. So that's going to be my book. Maybe out end of the year. I'm not sure. I mean, I got a football season to worry about too. But that's my biggest project now is working on presidential pubs. I like history. It's going to be fun to do the drinks and the stuff, and some famous people too, like Liz Taylor, like chocolate martinis, and I talk about that. So that's going to be fun. Um, Steve says, "Oh, yeah, the bell." Steve, bell. I've got the bell, Steve. My grandson's been around, but not today. Gotcha, boy. So, um, yeah, my Leo is he loves to grab the bell and run around the house and drive everybody nuts, but wasn't here today. So, I do have the bell. Let's see, Washington Commanders. Forbes will get a pick in the preseason. Wouldn't be surprised by that. Alumni game uniform prediction, Brandon. I have to look late in the season to see what that is. It's sometime in October, November. It's weird. I've never been somebody who could tell you the schedule more than 4 games out. It's like players. Who they playing this week, who's next week. Okay, and that's all players pay attention to. That's all I've ever paid attention to. There's no sense in me memorizing 17 in a row. We'll get there. So somewhere in the middle of the season, as bad as that is, I'd have to look that up. All right, James, do I feel the organization would have fared better if the Cook family had kept the team? Wow, this is a long conversation again. I've had a lot lately. John did not really want the team. He wanted the inheritance, his 10% of the team's sale. That's the God's honest truth. I covered that story. I know the truth. He just didn't want it. And they didn't think it was going to go for so much money. But John had people begging to be his partner. I don't care how revisionist history has come out lately. That's the truth. So would the Cooks been better? No, I don't think it would have been a better team. What it would have been better, if you want to blame Dan Snider on somebody, it's Fred Smith's fault. Because when Snider and Milstein bid failed, Fred Smith was looking to go to $1 billion to buy this team, the FedEx guy. And he hesitated, and Snider beat him back by keeping that contract like it did. He should have just put his money on the table and let it talk, and he didn't. And that allowed Dan Snider to get this team. So it's Fred Smith's fault, who became his partner for a while, and then then he got a big fight and all that. All right. Shiny ones. They did sign Byron Pringle. Will the offense be an RPO heavy? Yes, Charles. I would say no, but it'll certainly be a big piece of it. Commanders, I'm trying my best to not get hyped off the preseason. Well, they don't particularly do that great in the preseason under Ron. So I like Harbaugh in Baltimore. It says, we got to play today. We might as well win. I like that attitude. Winning is not a sometimes thing. It's an everyday thing. if I said that right, with Lombardi. Got no problems. If you're going to play, might as well win. Why not? So that's what I would try and show something. You got to show something. Get people excited a little bit. I'm not saying show your whole offense, but not play everybody all game. Something. Oh man, storm's hitting. If I go boop and I'm off the air, you don't know what happened. Oh, we're almost off the air anyway. Let's see. The shiny ones talking to somebody else. Okay, somebody else can talk to you. Didn't get quite the numbers tonight, but it's just the first one. So next Monday, I plan on being here 8 to 9, and every Monday after, more or less. But subscribe to my YouTube page if you don't already. Rick Snider's Washington. I post 6 in the morning and 5, 6 o'clock. Tomorrow, Wednesday, I'll have some up at noon, and then later in the day. So I'll have multiple ones tomorrow. If you like Commanders talk, and we talk a little about, in case you guys don't follow, Washington, D.C., places to go, things to do. I do some of that. Something big in sports happens around, I'll do that. I do a little bit of everything. It's 2 minutes. Matter of fact, one of the minority owners came up to me at the press conference and said, turned his phone around and showed me on Twitter and said, "Man, I love your show. I love the 2 minutes." It really was one of the best ideas I've ever had. It's not long enough to bore you, and we hit it, and we're out of here. Richard John, thank you for coming by. Appreciate it. Same to you for Shiny Ones. Appreciate it. Okay, do we got anything? So if you watched this on replay and missed earlier part of the show, it will be rewound and whatever they do, you call it. And YouTube will post the whole thing up again just a minute or two from now on there. If you want to throw some last money at me and go, ooh, hit the thanks button. I do appreciate it all. It does help me keep going. It's one reason why I really, without the show, I think I would have retired, because I'm just writing for 1067 The Fan and Command Post. But I was thinking about moving on, but because this show did so well, more than 14 million people have watched the show in a little over 2 years. So that's why I stayed here, and we still do this. So, Brandon, thank you so much for all that from Atlanta. A lot of people from out of town watch the show because they don't get access to guys like me much. So that's why, I'm glad everybody enjoys it, because if nobody watched, then I would quit doing it. All right. There you go. I'm Rick Snider for Rick Snider's Washington. Thank you so much for coming. I'll see you next Monday on that. But hey, you can go to the YouTube page and watch videos every day. Don't forget Command Post right behind me. Try and subscribe. Let's try and save that little publication. Because honestly, if you don't, it's probably gone and it won't be back. All right, guys. I'm leaving. Thank you so much. See you soon.